No female lead, no emotional connection, no ambiguity, many private settings, a comprehensive worldview. I am organized. There is a plot of undercover police officers using real alcohol, and there is a possibility of death for the red side. Both Bourbon and Scotland are real alcohol. Name: Taizaizhi. Gender: undoubtedly male. Age: 14. The code name of the black organization: Kale. Why join the black organization? Well, because I am the adopted son of that gentleman. In this article, also known as COS Taizai, I became the father of a thief on the Conan crew. As someone who did not fail in the human world, I filled my combat skills and appeared in Japan in the first second of the anime exhibition, even becoming a 3-year-old master. Can open other vests. Pay attention to the party and the spirit of the bar. Stay away from me. Write it for fun, don't stick. Keywords of the novel. COS Taizai, I wore it into the Conan crew without a pop-up window. COS Taizai, I wore it into the Conan crew. Download the complete TXT episode. COS Taizai, I wore it into the Conan crew to read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Black Wine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Black Wine. In the brightly lit lobby of the hotel, the police raised a cordon. The boy in a black coat lazily spoke. The culprit is you, Miss Shuji. The woman's body suddenly stiffened as she was quietly comforted by her friends around her. Before she could refute it, her comforting friend beside her couldn't stand still. What are you talking about, little devil? How could Yuji be a murderer? She's so kind. Jealousy is really a terrible thing, are you right? Miss Shuji. The young man in black ignored the other party's accusations and just sighed, saying with a look of compassion. The boyfriend who gradually lost his love shifted his gaze more towards his outgoing and excellent friend, gradually attracting him. This trip can also be considered as the last visit before the breakup. That gentleman should have officially broken up with Miss Shuji after the trip ended. Unfortunately, Miss Shuji knew about this in advance and was prepared to make it impossible for him to speak. After all, dead people don't cheat or break up, do they? That was a young man who looked like he was 14 or 15 years old. He still had baby fat on his face, black slightly curly hair, fair skin, and a bandaged right eye and exposed iris-colored left pupils. The black coat and suit looked slightly loose on him, and he stood lazily, watching as the killer who was found was powerless to kneel on the ground and burst into tears. It's really boring, he said, ready to turn around and leave. The sharp-eyed police quickly approached and stopped him. What's your name, little brother? The young man with black hair blinked, and the iris-colored fundus seemed to flash a dark stream of light. Tsushima Shuji, my name, he said with a smile on his face. Ignoring the praising police officer, he turned around and left, waving his hand with his back to the other person. Standing at the door, he took out his phone and tapped it a few times. Come pick me up. Kaor. Half a minute later, I received a reply. Address. Jin. Address. Kaor. The man sitting in the passenger seat took a puff of smoke and let out a cold snort, throwing down the cigarette butt. Vodka, go to the Mihua Hotel. Yes, big brother. Vodka worked tirelessly to start the car. Big brother, do you have any tasks? He couldn't help but ask. After all, suddenly proposing to go to a hotel during the day doesn't seem like the style of brother Chinjio. Task. Humph. The silver-haired man smiled inexplicably. Just picking up a troublesome little kid. Vodka is in shock. How much trouble should it be for a kid who even thinks it's troublesome, brother Chinjio? Wait, speaking of troublesome little ghosts, has Kao returned? Vodka asked with an inexplicable heart. That's right, it's that troublesome little devil. Chinjio simply admitted his conjecture. Ah. If it's Kao, Vodka is not surprising at all. After all, he has also witnessed the troubles of Cow with his own eyes. Thinking about the average suicide behavior of the other party 3 times a day in the past, as well as the need to protect the other party from really dying, Brother Chinjio Vodka drives silently. Brother Chinjio, you are too difficult. Standing at the hotel entrance for more than 10 minutes, a black Porsche 356A stopped in front of him. He didn't care at all and reached out to open the back seat door and sat down. Oh, long time no see, Chin Wine. I feel relieved when I see that your hair is still in good condition. After all, there are so many undercover agents waiting for you to catch, and I was worried that you might go bald. The young man in the back seat enthusiastically raised his right hand to speak, speaking in a cheerful and friendly tone that was infuriating. Shut up, Cow. A gun was aimed at the young man in the back seat. Hey. You finally have the idea. Are you willing to personally send me to death? The young man was not afraid at all, and even approached the muzzle, pressing his head against it. With just a gentle press, I can fulfill my wish, the young man smiled with satisfaction and longing. Please, let me wake up from this decaying world, he said, with a gentle smile on his face. The only irises on his face were lifeless and lifeless. You crazy person, Chinjio withdrew his gun, speaking with unclear meaning. Boss, bringing you back is not about dying. You need to work hard for the organization, Cow, said the silver-haired man. The young man lowered his regretful eyes and looked empty at the scenery passing by outside the window. 90% compatibility of Taizai's character structure, cheer up, host. Just 10% difference. You can start a new vest. The boy seemed to have heard nothing and turned to ask the man. Who is my partner? Chinjio ignored him. Vodka smiled and answered his question. The gentleman's meaning is to let you choose for yourself. Let me choose for myself. Can anyone do it? What cannot be chosen will not appear in front of you. This time, the answer is Chin Wine. It's really interesting. Taizaizhi thought with his chin lifted. Has my accommodation been arranged yet? He asked as if remembering something. It's arranged, it's an apartment with good security measures. But now, let's try your abilities first. After all these years outside, I don't know if you've made any progress. Vodka parked at the entrance of a research institute. Hey. My father really likes research institutes, said Taizaizhi uninterested. Shut up, keep up. Chinjio ignored the boy's words and walked straight ahead. The corridor they walked in did not see a researcher, and at the end of the corridor was an ordinary elevator. After fingerprint and iris detection, the elevator that originally only had -1 quietly added -2 and -3 options. Chin Wine, A.level permission, allowed to enter. Kale, A.level permission, allowed to enter. Vodka, A.level permission, allowed to enter. Welcome back to the training ground, the mechanical female voice said without emotion as the elevator opened. In this training venue full of futuristic technology, the members who come and go are often members with code names in the organization. Seeing Jin and Vodka returning with a seemingly underage teenager, there is no unnecessary expression, just a sneaky glance before turning around and making a nonchalant appearance. After all, after watching for a long time, when the time comes, Chinjio suspects that they are undercover agents and directly holds a gun to their forehead. If they don't agree, they will shoot and kill them, and the organization won't say anything. Go, let me see how your strength is. M200, L115A3. The young man casually reached out to stroke a row of guns, knowing the data performance of all the guns in his heart. Then I randomly selected an SVD and stood on the training platform. It's my forehead again. Chinjio looked at the real time record with an unclear meaning. Each training session will be recorded, including the location and number of times the character was shot. In the record of Taizaizhi's performance displayed above, the number of shots in the forehead's genitals far exceeds that in the heart and other parts. Forehead. 79, heart. 10. Limbs. 11. Latest record of 1,500 yards. Well, there's nothing we can do, after all, some people's hearts may grow elsewhere, said the black-clad boy slowly as he finished the test. Host, Taizai's marksmanship is not as good. OOC. The system emits a mournful cry. No, 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 this is not the crew of Buno. Why can't a human incompetent Taizai be filled with marksmanship and combat? This is me learning from Taizai. The young man retorted in his heart. You're right, Qin said with an appreciative expression. Although Cao has a lot of quirks, this cautious approach is much better than organizing other miscellaneous fish. Ah, hurry up and take me back. The canned crab meat I bought has already arrived at home, said Taizai lying on the ground, feeling weak. Qin. Get up. Calm down, stay calm. Cao is the adopted son of that adult cow is very useful, let's go, I'll take you back. Qin pressed the hand that wanted to draw the gun. Okay. P.S. In the worldview of anime, there is no female protagonist, no emotional connection, no ambiguity, no licking of women, no helping of the Red Party, inheritor of a real brewery, no saving, undercover trader, and other Red Party characters, there is a possibility of death. In the eyes of the protagonist, Ai Hui Yuan and Conan are free-range experimental subjects, while characters such as the FBI of Belmont Akai and Judy, traitor, and undercover, and other characters, all have a possibility of death. After all, according to the persona of Black Time Zai and Leader Zai, I feel sorry for what I wrote about the Red Party, maybe the Red Party will be destroyed one day. Bourbon and Scotland are both real wines, real wines. The distillery sent undercover agents to the police, and I won't explain to anyone who can't understand. Thunder is not allowed in. Don't come back and scold me when your favorite character dies, I don't accept it. It's all said about pure black real wine. It's impossible to act like a fool or help the red side while drinking. If the black side doesn't pursue a career, should they do charity? And there are too many original elements, too many private settings, and many original cases and members of original distilleries, so there won't be any plot revolving around Conan every day. Of course, the main storyline is still on the Conan crew, and there are occasional basketball and tennis games with Akashi Hattori in the daily storyline, as well as watching the Backstreet Girls concert and so on. Brainless refreshing writing, brainless refreshing writing, brainless refreshing writing. Every day is very much, very much, very much, very much. He is a water ghost, the plot is really dark, the writing style is awkward. P.S. Don't mention other people's books in my article. If there is no female lead, just mention it casually. If there is a female lead, it's okay, because I will click in to read it and it will be very painful to see a female lead. Don't hit double black, don't step on my thunder spot, keep away from me for cancer. Passion opens a pit, the Pigeon King is the king. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Tsushima Shuji and Personality Splitting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Tsushima Shuji and Personality Splitting. Boss has made an appointment with a psychologist for you, remember to go see them. Jin glancing at the information on his phone casually, the young man closed it without hesitation. Tsushima Shuji and Taizaizhi are clearly one person. Why say I have a split personality? The young man muttered on the sofa. He is currently living in the high-end apartment provided by his father, which is expensive, luxurious in decoration, and spacious. Standing in the French window, you can overlook the surrounding buildings and people. The refrigerator is also filled with canned crab meat, and it has to be said that his father is still very qualified in this regard. Tsushima Shuji is a writer, Muno Dazai is a former member of Mafia, and you are a member of the Black Organization. These are not two people anymore, you are clearly three people. System chatter. Tsushima Shuji fell into silence. He carefully recalled the reason why he was treated as a personality split patient. Although other memories of the past have become hazy. Only memories related to COS remain particularly clear. In those days, when he was a college student in his prime, as an otaku of maternal and fetal solo, he was addicted to anime animation and handmade. In college, he did not hesitate to join the animation club. With his handsome appearance and 186 stature, COS played the role of anime god without pressure. In fact, he has also COS 186th Levi's and Zhongyuan Zhongya. Of course, the character who made him the ace of the club was the leader of the DK Gojo and If line, who were cursed back. Every time it appears at the anime exhibition, it attracts countless fans and girls to come and ask for a group photo. On that day, he was dressed in the clothes of the leader and was about to leave the changing room of the manga exhibition. However, as soon as he walked out of the changing room, he found that his gaze had lowered out of thin air, and his surroundings were not the familiar manga exhibition venue. The clothes on his body have also become kindergarten style, and he is wearing a small yellow hat. However, his COS outfit, which belonged to the leader, followed him and transformed from an obvious COS texture to a visible high-definition texture. And the environment he is currently in is a burning villa. There were big fires on all sides, emitting strong black smoke. He hugged the leader's clothes he had bought with money, walked with short legs for a few steps, and even saw 2 corpses that were still alive. The gaze and appearance of looking up at the starry sky instantly shocked him, who had not seen a dead person up close. So much so that he forgot his reaction for a moment, and when he realized it, he even felt like reaching out to help these 2 temporary roommates close their eyes. Just as his outstretched hand touched the body, a team of police rushed in, shouting that there were still children here, and without saying a word, they carried him out. Of course, because he held on to the clothes of the leader tightly and did not let go, this set of clothes also survived. As he was being carried out by the police, he was still thinking that he could almost close his eyes to help the 2 of them look up at the starry sky, so he looked at the smoking villa with reluctant eyes. Just as I was carried into the police car by the police, strange noises rang out in my mind. "Hello host, we have detected your love for COS and the COS system has been successfully bound to you. Next, please unleash your COS talents to the fullest." So his mind was filled with, "What's this? I'm wearing it, I'm getting smaller." To the police outside, the adorable black-haired boy stared blankly at the empty space, holding on to an adult's coat. It's obvious that I was scared to see my parents die with my own eyes. Children, children. As he regained his senses, he turned his head and saw a face approaching him. He moved back uncomfortable. "What's your name?" the police officer asked with a smile. "I am." "Hey. What's my name?" Everything about one's identity in memory seems to have become blurred, and the images of friends become like yellowed scrolls. Tsushima. Tsushima Shuji. My name. Hey. Who is Tsushima Shuji? It's the original name of Taizaizhi, host. System reminder. Well, Tsushima Hideyoshi is the original name of Taizai, that is to say. Taizaizhi is also me. I see. Tsushima Shuji realized. No. Host, you're just in COS Taizai. Be clear-headed. The system emits a scream. The young boy shook his head, feeling that his vague memories had cleared up a bit and his thinking had become clearer. And he looked at the young police officer just now, and from his gaze and posture, words that seemed to resonate in his ear. Is this child okay? Also, witnessing such a scene with my own eyes, I'm afraid I'm very scared. Since it was during the reign of COS Taizai. Then let's live as Taizai in this world. Then. He tilted his head in confusion and looked at the police officer with iris-colored eyes. Is this big brother worried that I might be scared when I see such a scene? It's okay, I'm not afraid, he said with a pure and innocent smile. The attitude of the police officer immediately changed. What's going on with this child? Is it too sensitive? How would you know my thoughts? Isn't it easy to see through at a glance? Big brother's idea. He blinked in confusion. Can this child see through people's hearts? The police officer thought, randomly smiling again, feeling that he had thought too much. Just a sensitive child, right? Wait here, big brother, go contact your relatives and they will pick you up. The police officer touched the boy's head. The person who was still immersed in COS the previous second lost all their expressions when the back of the police officer disappeared in front of them. Why did I get into the game at the beginning of Conan's world? He looked expressionless on the surface, but his heart was irritable, old brother. Maybe because of Kushue. The system approached cautiously. This is really an irrefutable reason. I always feel like there's something wrong with my memory. He shook his head. Except for the clearer memory seen during COS, all other memory images are blurry as if separated by countless barriers. But forget it, it doesn't matter. Is this also considered a death? Unfortunately, I couldn't completely die. And where do I come from now? He suddenly appeared in this world as a living person. Where do I come from? It's not even certain if there's someone like him in the population chart. Don't worry, I have arranged everything for the host. The system is full of confidence. The next second, a gentle-looking man, accompanied by a police officer, pushed the door and entered, claiming to be the younger brother of a deceased couple in the villa. He successfully picked up Tsushima Shuji. Then I arrived at a villa and met two figures. Black clothes, top hat, silver hair. It's you. Winery model worker. A strong man with a square face. It's you. Exclusive driver's little brother vodka. Can we meet these two directly? The man next to him is not ordinary, is it a wine that has not appeared yet? Tsushima Shuji thought this way, and the next second, he saw the man pulling off a layer of skin with his hair and face showing a head of blonde hair and a distinct feminine appearance. Oh, Belmud, it's you. Is this little ghost the child of those two people? The model worker said. Of course, the boss asked you to take him with you first and see if he has any talent, said Belmud. Everyone present knows that talent here refers to the talent for joining an organization. If there are, he naturally becomes a member of the organization, but if not, he may have to go and reunite with his deceased family. Tisk. Chinjio impatiently lit a cigarette. But he didn't say anything. He is a loyal boss subordinate and won't refute the opponent's orders. Even if it's such a boring thing as having him take care of children. So Tsushima Shuji lived a painful life, crossed out. Chin Wine is an unqualified guardian. He would pull out a gun in front of the child, expressionlessly smashing someone else's head, causing their blood to splatter on Tsushima Shuji's face. Even more likely, when feeling down, he would grab and hold on to Tsushima Shuji's temple without caring if the other person was still a child. Even when Tsushima Hideyoshi was disobedient, he fired directly, with bullets streaking his face and leaving a blood-stained wound. Of course, after that shot, Kinju confirmed that Tsushima Shuji had the talent to join the organization. The boy who wrapped a bandage around his left face stared at him with hollow and dark eyes, revealing his thick and undisguised malice. The next second, the boy held the gun from an unknown source and aimed it at Chinjio. Without hesitation, the bullet sliced across Chinjio's face and left a wound in the same spot as the opponent. Kid, that's pretty good, the man said in a malicious and appreciative tone as he wiped the blood dripping from his face. Afterwards, Jin began to take Tsushima Shuji on missions. At a young age, Tsushima Shuji did not hesitate to take action, and even the identity of a child brought them a lot of convenience in their tasks. Occasionally, he would refute the other person by saying that his name was Taizaizhi when Jinjio called him Tsushima Shuji. After being carried by Jin for 2 years, the person called to see Tsushima Shuji. So at the age of 5, Tsushima Shuji went to the United States and became the child raised by the gentleman. Not long after, he even had his own code name. Car. Black wine. The mass wine, known as the Church, is also the most beloved wine of Tsar Bill the Great. Kale black wine is an achievement of alchemy between grapes and humans, stored in a piece of soil. In the world, Only Malbec from Lot Canyon can endow the wine with such depth. Its vitality and rich tannins are the keys to its eternal youth. Thinking of this, Tsushima Shuji sighed and retrieved his phone, but slowly replied to the news of Jin. Got it. Kaor, on the other side, Chinjio watched as the person who was already unable to read finally replied to the text message and sneered as he put down his gun. Ignoring the body lying on the ground, he turned around and left. A sensible little devil. P.S. I didn't cheat on him, he couldn't hear someone else's heart sound, didn't he see that what I wrote in the original text was, from his eyes and posture, and, as if a heart sound was ringing in his ear. If I can hear the heart sound, why don't I just write that he heard the other person's thoughts? It's just that everything is too obvious to the protagonist, so obvious that it's like having a voiceover. Don't criticize the protagonist for cheating on his heart sound, he doesn't have such a thing at all. His only cheat is that he won't die or have combat power. However, he didn't even want it himself. If you think the protagonist is a puppet without a self because he looks too much like Taizai and still wants to criticize, then I have nothing to say. Will the written talisman also be criticized for being in line with character design? Laughing to death, why not think that the protagonist's name is Tsushima Shuji and not anything else? No outline, passionate coding. I hope my 3-minute heat can last a little longer, haha. P.S. Regarding the question of why the protagonist can shoot at the age of 3. Because of human misconduct, bushi, and system buffs, no external factors can harm him, including the recoil force generated by shooting. In fact, he doesn't have recoil at all when shooting. Even if he walks through a barrage of bullets to death, don't expect a bullet to hit him. Whether it's hanging, jumping in the river, jumping off a building, or jumping off a cliff, he can't die. Of course, stabbing him face to face or something can still hurt him and he has a sense of pain. But I really can't die. But this is really an invincible article/confidence. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Nanny Chin Wine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Nanny Chin Wine. Being alone cannot sacrifice oneself. If two people were to die, they would die for love, martyrdom, walking on the street, humming incomprehensible lyrics. The young man walked briskly through the crowd, ignoring the gazes from around him due to his singing. When passing by a tree, he stopped in his tracks. What a hard-working tree, he praised. Look at its appearance, how suitable it is for suicide. Today is a sunny day and a good day for suicide, he said, taking out a white strap from his body. Hang it on the tree and tie a knot. Then he jumped and put his neck inside. Feeling the decreasing air and heavier body, he closed his eyes. Then when he opened his eyes, he woke up in the hospital bed. Tsushima Shuji. Ah, you're awake, the doctor, holding a booklet to record, saw him say. Why bother hanging at a young age? You're still young, you'll pass. The mature doctor advised the other person. Tsushima Shuji. You're right, I suddenly thought about it. May I ask, which kind-hearted person saved me? He read the words, kind-hearted person, with extra weight. I don't know, that kind-hearted person took you to the hospital and then left, the doctor shook his head. It's a pity. I still want to be okay, thank you to that kind-hearted person. Tsushima Shuji gritted his teeth. Doctor. Are you serious, young man? You don't look like you want to thank the other person well at all. I always feel like you're going to find shark hand, dark shark, kind-hearted person the next second. Well, may I ask if Dr. Keisuke Edo is currently available? Ah, Dr. Window is here, how did you know? Because I have an appointment. As for how to know this is the Mihua Herbalist Wild Hospital, the doctor clearly has a famous brand on his clothes. The boy rose uninterested and jumped out of the hospital bed. Well, goodbye, Dr. Ninzu. He waved his hand with his back to the doctor. Ah, I didn't originally plan to see a doctor, but someone still sent me over. Well, everyone has come. This is fate, right? So the wind turbine owner Keisuke welcomed his special patient. Good afternoon, Dr. Window. The black-haired boy looked delicate and sat obediently, learning from the posture of an elementary school student and greeting him. Good afternoon, Jun Tsushima. It doesn't seem as difficult to deal with as previously mentioned. It's not Tsushima Jun, it's Taizai Jun, Taizaizhi. The young man named Tsushima Shuji seriously refuted his title. Ah. It seems a bit difficult to handle. Window Keisuke has a headache. The young man in front of him, who claimed to be Taizaizhi, was sharp and seemed to have the ability to see through people's hearts. No matter what ideas he had, he was stopped by the other party. Even the characters switched unconsciously. Oh, why do doctors think I'm a patient? The doctor himself has it, the other one himself or something, he said, suddenly approaching the serious doctor. This little devil. How could you say that, Your Highness? Keisuke Window asked with his medical record. Because of me, I saw another self hidden in your heart, doctor. He said. He will come out sooner or later. The black-haired boy's mouth curved upwards, his tone light, and his iris-colored eyes stared at the doctor with a dark and heavy expression. Just kidding, he said with a smile as the other person was about to make a panicked expression. This is not funny at all, Your Highness, said Keisuke Edo seriously. Has Taizai Jun not had much contact with peers? Learn language art. You should get in touch with your classmates and friends more. Learn to be a good person. The doctor smiled and said. Let's go quickly. Under the doctor's gaze, the young man walked briskly away from the hospital. At the moment when the other person's back completely disappeared, Keisuke Window silently sent the medical record to their guardian. At the same time, Chinjio received a medical record and a phone call from Taizaizhi. Change a doctor for me. The boy on the other end of the phone spoke lazily. Reason. Chinjio's tone was cold and stern. Taizaizhi knew that if it was inexplicable stubbornness, when meeting, Chinjio would not hesitate to warn him with a gun. He will become a murderer, said Taizaizhi with great courage. I understand. He was still very confident in Taizai's ability to judge people, and as soon as he spoke, the other person hung up the phone. Haha. Chinjio looked at the medical record and snorted coldly. My gaze lingered slightly on the phrase, the patient has clear logic and organization. Or has a high-functioning antisocial personality. I turned around and sent the medical record to the boss abroad. High-functionality antisocial. The black organization is not a prestigious organization in the first place, and in the eyes of Chinjio, minor issues like Taizaizhi are not a problem at all. Thinking this way, he sent a message to Taizaizhi. Come to Dorobika Park tomorrow. Unexpectedly, the opposite party replied to the text message in seconds. Are you taking me to the amusement park to play? Or while strolling through the mall, Tsushima Hideyoshi picked up a bag of dog food and looked at it. He threw it into his shopping cart and looked at the message displayed on his phone as read, but there was no response. He then put away his phone. Tisk, you're such a boring adult, he said, sweeping through the crab meat cans on the shelf. After adding money and allowing the mall to directly deliver things to the apartment, Tsushima Shuji arrived at one of the organization's strongholds. Lupin Bar. This bar was the gift he gave to his adoptive father when he mentioned it back then. Although minors are not allowed to enter bars, isn't it a basic operation to have 4 or 5 fake certificates for each person? Even if the police were to investigate, he wouldn't panic. Inside the dimly lit bar, there were scattered people sitting, almost all dressed in black, some familiar and some unfamiliar. Their gaze fixed on the young man who seemed to have stumbled into this place by mistake. Gin and vodka are sitting in front of the bar. So the people around looked at the young man as if he was stunned and headed straight for the gin. You should know that even within the organization, Chinjio is a renowned god of killing. Oh, Chin Wine, come pick me up tomorrow, please, please, taking a taxi is very expensive." The boy sat next to Chinjio and leaned over the bar, speaking. "Do you still have enough pocket money?" Chinjio not only didn't shoot the other person, but also chatted happily. "Give me a glass of Malbec with added detergent." The boy didn't answer his question, but instead ordered from the familiar bartender. "Sorry customer, we don't have this kind of thing here," the bartender said helplessly. "Give him a glass of hot milk," Chinjio said. "Okay," the bar quickly responded. "Shoo," the boy who finally sat up lay down on the bar again. On my way home today, I saw a stream that was particularly suitable for suicide, so I jumped into the water. I only realized when I drifted ashore that my wallet was missing. Could you please help me make up for it?" he said, wanting to jump off the chair and run away. After drinking, Chinjio skillfully grabbed the young man's collar and pushed him back into the chair. The gaze gestured to the milk on the counter that was out of place. Seeing the young man close his eyes, take the milk with a heavy face, and drink it all in one gulp, Chinjio released his grip on the other person and watched them run away eagerly before lighting a cigarette. "This is the boss's task. That child's brain is a treasure of our organization, you need to protect him," said the gentleman. "So it is necessary to take care of the other person's nutritional balance and ensure sufficient nutrients for the brain. You cannot smoke in front of the other person to prevent second-hand smoke from affecting them. Otherwise, who would be willing to take care of the troublesome little devil? When I was a child, although it was troublesome, I was still obedient. Now, I am both troublesome and disobedient. Big brother, is Cow going to do the mission with us tomorrow?" Vodka dared to speak as he watched the boy leave. "I don't know why, he's a bit afraid of Cow. There is a saying circulating in the organization. If you offend Jin, you may die, but if you offend Coral, life is not as good as death." Since the emergence of kale wine, absinthe, which was once favored by bosses, has had to shy away from its opponents. He is also the only member who calls the boss, father. "No, he doesn't have to do the task." Jin picked up a glass of Malbec. "Boss asked me to take him to play." He drank the wine from his glass in one gulp. Vodka fell silent. Did the boss really ask the big brother to take care of the children? Having to do tasks and take care of children. Big brother, how miserable you are. Great, opening 3 chapters. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Historical Scenes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Historical Scenes. The restoration of Tianjin Island started very early today. Start changing clothes early. Black suit plus black coat. The adoptive father later gave him many black suits and coats of the same style, including the one he currently lives in the apartment, and the wardrobe also had custom-made coats and suits tailored to his body shape. And a cabinet of snow-white bandages. He slowly wrapped a bandage around his left eye, thought for a moment, and then put on a red scarf. Looking at the unfamiliar and familiar face in the mirror, he said hello. "Hello, Taizaizhi." His facial features are his own, but the wig and beautiful pupils completely blend into reality as he travels through, just like there has never been COS, he has always looked like this. Today is a significant day. It was the day when high school detective Shinichi Kudo was about to transform into a primary school student named Conan Idagawa. It's also a day of riding a roller coaster with gin and vodka. How could he be absent from such a classic scene? He waited and waited from the morning until his phone lit up. "Go downstairs," gin is the consistent tone of Chin wine. He grabbed his phone and rushed downstairs. When I saw a Porsche 356A parked at the entrance of the apartment, I didn't hesitate to open the back seat door and sit in. "I haven't seen you all night, I miss you very much, Jin," he sweetly called out. "Shut up, cow. Vodka, drive. You're very excited today, why?" Chinjio asked as he looked at the young man who had been fidgeting non-stop since getting on the car. "Because, this is my first time going to an amusement park with Jin," the deceitful words opened up. "False." Chin-jo sneered, too lazy to pay attention to the young man's incessant retorts in the back seat. So, let me take a stroll around first, and then the roller coasters will gather. As soon as we arrived at the amusement park, the young man got off the car on his own, leaving only one sentence for them. Big brother, did you tell Cow to take the roller coaster? Vodka asked in confusion. No. Don't underestimate that little devil's brain. That's a brain that even the boss thinks is a treasure. Chin-jo had no doubt that when he saw himself and Vodka, Taizaizhi had guessed their purpose for today. Perhaps even earlier, when he told them he was coming to the amusement park, he knew it. There are so many people, Taizaizhi said expressionlessly. Bang! Taizaizhi felt his waist hit by someone. It hurt so much. Well, he had two small knives hanging on his waist. Bume, are you okay? The two boys comforted the girl who was shouting pain. Host. It's a youth detective team. The system is starting to bubble. Is everything okay, little sister? The boy, dressed in black and with a bandage around his left eye, bent down and reached out his left hand, which was also wrapped in a red scarf, to lightly touch the girl's forehead. Gentle tone and gentle movements. At the moment when Yoshida Bume was about to say she looked up and said it was okay, she met his eyes. Empty iris-colored eyes. It seems like a sad gaze crying silently. It's okay, be careful, he said. Nah, Yuantai, Guanyan. Do you think this big brother looks very sad? Looking at his departing figure, Fukumi Yoshida asked her friends around her. He must have just experienced something unhappy. Don't mention others' unhappy experiences. Let's go take a roller coaster ride. 1 second ago, I just met a member of the future youth detective team. The next second, I turned my head and saw Muri Lan with a pointed hairstyle and her childhood sweetheart, Shinichi Kudo. Well, it seems like we're about to fast forward to the necklace murder incident. Tsushima Shuji thought this way and walked slowly behind them towards the position of the roller coaster. When I saw two men dressed in black, I looked straight at them with an unfamiliar attitude. Just when I saw the combination of 3 women and 1 man, I looked at it with interest. After all, among these 4 people, one is about to become a deceased person and the other is about to become a prisoner. Especially the necklace worn by the prisoner lady caught his attention. I want to see if I can see the difference. As for the dog food plot where the deceased's husband and girlfriend passionately kissed each other, I can also understand. After all, it was the last time before death. His position was in the front, with Vodka and Jin sitting in the last row, and by the way, the deceased was sitting in front of them. Everyone took their seats. Fate begins to move forward. The scene was once very bloody. Flying head, spraying blood. It is necessary to play the holy light mosaic, otherwise the plot cannot pass the review. Ah, the deceased's girlfriend burst into tears and found a bloody knife from her bag. Cow, go find the culprit and let's leave quickly. Looking at the text message on his phone, Tsushima Shuji looked up at the silver-haired man behind him and met his impatient gaze. Ah, this gaze. I'm afraid Chin-jo wants to draw his gun on the spot and kill all the others present, so as not to delay his time. The culprit is not Miss Izzy, but you, said the young man in black and red scarf as he walked out of the crowd. Are you true, young man? Officer Mumu asked with a serious expression. How can you talk nonsense? The knife was clearly found in my beloved bag, wasn't it? The woman in blue couldn't interfere. On the roller coaster, using such a knife to cut off a person's head, not to mention Miss Izzy, even I can't do it. The young man exclaimed in admiration or mockery. The only iris-colored right eye that was revealed was filled with coldness and boredom. Miss Xiaotong, where did the necklace you wore around your neck go? The young man in black said expressionlessly as the crowd debated. That's the necklace your ex-boyfriend gave you, and that ex-boyfriend, I think, is Miss Aiko's boyfriend, the deceased Mr. Kishida. Your killing tool should still be left in the tunnel. Speaking of this, he changed his words when he saw the hurried appearance. Now that your murder tool has probably been found, do you still need to argue? His gaze fixed on Shinichi Kudo. Kudo Shinichi, who discovered through physical evidence that the case had already been solved, said. Damn it, this guy has tricked me. He's right, the culprit is you, this is the physical evidence I found, said Shinichi Kudo, pulling out a transparent bag containing iron claws and pearls. The culprit has been found, let's leave now, Chinjio, who was waiting impatiently, spoke again. The icy killing intent in his eyes was detected by the sharp Shinichi Kudo. And Tsushima Shuji, who showed remarkable reasoning ability and dressed particularly similarly to the other two, was also carefully scrutinized by him. The woman who was exposed for her murder techniques and motives finally couldn't help but kneel down and cry bitterly. Telling the idea of why to kill. Hello, I'm Shinichi Kudo. Shinichi Kudo, who is very interested in the other person's reasoning ability, introduced himself. She is Mari Lan. Hello, my name is Mayaolan and I am Cindy's childhood sweetheart. I know you, a famous high school detective, the boy in black said with a smile. Meeting for the first time, at Shimetsujima Shuji. I'm talking about you, your reasoning ability is not bad. By the way, do you know the other two people in black? Shinichi Kudo became familiar with it. Are those two gentlemen wearing black clothes? I'm sorry, I don't know each other, said Tsushima Shuji. Well, you're right. The dangerous aura on those two people is almost overflowing. Although you're all black, you obviously don't have their dangerous aura, said the high school detective. This set of clothes was actually given by an elder. Tsushima Shuji said as he saw the figure of vodka running past the three of them. Kudo Shinichi followed without hesitation. Shinichi. I looked at the hand that Mori-lan had reached out next to me but hadn't grabbed anything. Tsushima Shuji blinked. So, goodbye for now, Miss Maori. Looking forward to seeing you again next time. Okay. Maori-lan suddenly returned to Shinto. Sitting in the car waiting for not long, a black-clothed Jin appeared with a black-clothed vodka. How's that detective doing? Despite knowing the outcome, he still asked. How do you know what we did to him? I watched vodka run past him with my own eyes, and then Sherlock Holmes chased after him. Would you let him go? The black-haired boy said, can't you think of it? Looking at the Chin wine with his appearance. Whether or not he can survive depends on his luck, Chinjio gave a bloody smile. Tsushima Shuji's heart was filled with joy. Shindao not only survived, but also lived well, constantly causing trouble for you. But what is the relationship between adding blockage to Jin and his cow wine? It's completely unrelated. The gentleman has arranged the school for you and will go to school tomorrow, Chinjio said in the silence. What? Going to school? Are you joking? Diguang Middle School, Chinjio added. Not only Conan, but also the Rainbow Squad. This world is no longer good, it's hopeless. Ask a question. He raised his hand like a good student. Say. Can I apply for a driver? If you can't decide, I'll go find my father, the driver will pick you up tomorrow, Chinjio agreed decisively. Okay, thank you very much, today is another happy day, and Tsushima Shuji happily got off the car at the entrance of the apartment. At the same time, the shrunken Kudo Shinichi appeared at Dr. Ashikaga's home. My name is Conan. Idagawa Conan. Passionate coding. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Weak and Sickly Transfer Student. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The weak and sickly transfer student. At 4:30 in the morning, I saw crabapple flowers. Taizaizhi is not sleeping. He lay in bed, covering his left eye with one hand and staring blankly at the empty space with his right eye. why do I have to go back to middle school again? Host, you haven't attended school since you appeared in this world. The system uses a painful language channel. The boss of the black organization actually doesn't let you go to school. It is filled with righteous indignation. That adoptive father found him a private tutor, but activate the memory root. The young boy, wearing a small suit, sat obediently in his seat and occasionally raised his hand. Teacher, your answer is wrong. Teacher, there are 3 other solutions to this problem. Teacher, Teacher, why can a teacher be my teacher even if their level is so poor? The boy said with a bewildered expression on his face. The private tutor broke through the defense on the spot, covering her face and crying. It's my fault. My level is not worthy of being a young master's teacher, please let me go. Oh no, please find another teacher. So the tutor whimpered and ran away. Boss. He fixed his gaze on the boy with an innocent expression and bad behavior, and sighed. So there were no more tutors. That boss led the Taizai around the world, including the legendary Hawaii. Memories come to an end. I didn't expect that father still didn't give up, the young man rolled over. Is it okay that Emperor Guang's uniform is not ugly? If the green uniform of the entire PK Academy cow liquor betrayed the organization on the spot, crossed out, he carefully checked last night and found that in this world, there are no superpowers and no non-knowledge. Although there are Kushue's small tennis balls, small basketball, small volleyball, brisk walking, and figure skating except for Conan, everything else is a safe daily exercise fan/shocking sound. Student, it's a good disguise. If you're idle at your age, you'll be suspected. The system is bitter. No, isn't there a lot of dead houses dropping out of school on Neon's end? What's wrong with me? Tsushima Hideyoshi was straight and imposing. You're right, boss doesn't listen. Next, the vicissitudes of the system light up cigarettes. Tsushima Shuji. He couldn't refuse at all. Emperor Guang's school uniform consists of a white suit pants, a light blue shirt, and a black tie. As soon as I put on this outfit, what's going on with this feeling of illness, depression, and prince style? Is this really a persona that Taizai can possess? Use your COS skills, host, to arrange a perfect persona for transfer students. The system tone is flat and calm. Okay, then let's talk about the sickly and melancholic prince, he said, relaxing his facial muscles and adjusting his expression. When he looked up again, the melancholy between his eyebrows and eyes was about to overflow, and his body was plagued by the impatience of illness, with a fragile and neurotic sense of detachment from the world. Isn't it just DK Slaughter? He can. Kozer can't say no. Shinjo really arranged a driver for him. And a person dressed in a suit, with a graceful old butler-like demeanor. This old butler looks a bit familiar. Welcome back to Tokyo, Master Shuji. I know you're okay, the old lady must be very happy. Oh. I remember the 2 corpses in front of him on the day of his journey. I didn't look carefully at them at the time, but now I think about it. In the hall, there is actually a painting showing not only the couple, but also an old butler and a boy named Tsushima Shuji who later emerged. The system harbors deep achievements and fame. Long time no see, Grandpa Tanaka. The young man lowered his slender eyelashes and spoke softly. What's wrong with your eyes? The old butler looked painfully at the young master's left eye wrapped in bandages, as well as his neck and exposed left hand. Tsushima Shuji. Can I say that I actually have no problems at all? It's just an accident. The young man stood in the darkness facing the light, looking thin and unreal. Please get in the car. The old butler seemed to have something else to say, but in the end, he stopped. Just stepped forward and opened the car door for him, standing on the side waiting for him to get on. After naturally getting on the car, Tsushima Shuji closed the car door and sat in the passenger seat. Corruption, the system suddenly came out with roast. Isn't there a more corrupt scene when following that gentleman, said Tsushima Shuji. It has to be said that the black organization in his world is truly amazing. It's okay to have research institutes and bases all over the world, manipulating the political power of small countries, and even having their presence behind the transfer of power among major powers. Wealth is really not just talk. In some countries, Tsushima Shuji accompanies his father and enjoys the treatment of a king and crown prince, TSK. Nah, have you heard that our class is going to have a new transfer student today? It's been so long since school started, is there any problem? Really, how could you think of others so much? I hope he's a handsome guy. Then I hope she's a beautiful woman. A class is discussing with students about the upcoming transfer. Dong dong. Quiet, the Mediterranean class teacher knocked on the podium. Tsushima classmate, please come in. After seeing the students all quiet down, he turned his head and said to the outside door. That is an incredible beautiful young man. Wearing the same school uniform as them, he was clearly more handsome and luxurious. He looked very weak, with bandages wrapped from his left eye all the way to his wrists, and white bandages attached to the knuckles of his 10 fingers. Only a small half of his right face and right eye were exposed from top to bottom. The sickly and fragile delicacy that permeates the realm of fantasy. First time we met, I'm Tsushima Hideyoshi. He pinched chalk and wrote the 4 words, Tsushima Hideyoshi, on the blackboard, then turned to the young girl below and said. After a moment, scattered applause of welcome rang out. Tsushima Jun, your position is at the last one by the window. Remembering what the Mediterranean homeroom teacher had said, Tsushima Shuji silently walked towards the last seat by the window. The space is already filled with textbooks, and there is a shoulder bag and a bento in the drawer. Taking out his bag and flipping through it, he found 4 or 5 of his commonly used pens and ink, as well as other things he wouldn't even think of bringing. Nah, why did Mr. Tsushima take so long to switch schools? Someone approached him and asked. Brown short hair, fair complexion, is a JK who can score 6 points. Because I was treated abroad before and only returned to my home country a few days ago. Hey, is Mr. Tsushima sick? It's just a minor flaw, thank you for worrying. Nijin Island Lord. Almost all the girls in the class ran around his position to ask for warmth and comfort. Causing complaints from other boys. What, it looks like a dying sick seedling. Yeah, those soft guys are really not picky about these girls. I can only rely on this appearance to make the little girl sympathize. Tsushima Shuji's eyes darkened as he had a clear perception of malice. Compared to the familiar small groups around him, is it not normal for Tsushima Shuji, as a suddenly inserted individual, to cause dissatisfaction from others? It's better to say that he was looking forward to what that group of people could achieve. At noon, he came to the rooftop alone with a bento in his arms. Originally, the rooftop belonged to the generational exclusive domain of Miracle in the Emperor Light basketball department. After graduating, miraculous generations went their separate ways, and others were too lazy to run towards the rooftop, so the rooftop was completely empty. Provided him with a quiet and lazy place. Yoxi, skipped class this afternoon. He thought lazily as he lay on the rooftop and closed his eyes. On the other side of the classroom. Hey, Ito, we're doing this, isn't it okay? Shut up, Ishii, we're just giving that kid a warning. Hey, if you dare to talk nonsense to that kid, don't blame me for being impolite. The person named Ito turned around and threatened the others. He can't wait to see that kid cry. However, for a whole afternoon, Tsushima Shuji did not appear. He didn't leisurely return to the classroom until 5 minutes before school ended. Under the quietly casting gaze around him, he stood next to his seat. In the morning, it was still a brand new desk, now covered in dazzling ink marks, and the bodies of brand new pens were scattered. To be honest, Tsushima Hideyoshi's current thought in his mind is. This is this, this is this. The people sitting around the transfer student seemed to hear them sigh slightly. The teacher on the podium spoke up about the next moment after school, and the transfer students also spoke up. Sorry, everyone may be able to leave later, he said. Ha! Why? When something goes wrong with you, why should everyone waste time with you? Stay here and take your time to clean it up, transfer students. A gentle-looking boy sneered. So, can you tell me who did it? The student sighed helplessly. Some people have wandering eyes and dare not look at him. Some people have a bewildered expression and are burning with anger. We don't know, do we, everyone? The boy raised his voice and asked. Yes. Yes, we didn't see anything. We don't know anything. Did you hear me? If you hear me clearly, let's go, the boy said maliciously. If we can't figure out who did it, we'll have to report it to the police. No one can leave here until the police show up and find that person, said Tsushima Shuji, taking out his phone. Hello. Really fake. You actually want to call the police? The boy had an incredulous expression. Kailanti fountain pens are limited to 1140 units worldwide, with a single issue price of $40,000 and a market price of $100,000. 5 of them were damaged, which is $500,000 according to the market price. With the damaged package and ink, the value is nearly $1 million. This amount is already enough for investigation. Tsushima Shuji spoke calmly. Hello. These things cost $1 million. Who? Who believes them, said the refined boy with a stern expression. Immediately after, another boy beside him tugged at his clothes and picked up his phone to signal him to take a look. The information and price of the pen are displayed clearly. At that time, his face turned white. Next time after doing something bad, don't act so jumpy, this. Ito classmate. Well, are you going to jail or are you apologizing to me? Yes. I'm sorry. Hey. Apologizing means having the appearance of apologizing. Kneel down and shout at me woof woof twice, maybe I'll forgive you. 10. I'm very sorry. Woof. 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 Be good, be good. It's real wine, it doesn't wash white, it doesn't save Minami Mayano, and it's even tempting to snatch the gin mission. And, except for childhood sweethearts, all single dogs are given to me as social animals. What kind of love? There is a possibility of coolness in the original characters. How to be happy and how to write, it's just me wanting to read it myself, End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The Boy Who Eated a Bag of Dog Food. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The boy who eated a bag of dog food at the school gate, the black Bentley had already stopped by the roadside. The butler in a suit saw the figure of Tsushima Shuji and quickly opened the car door. Master Shuji. Tsushima Shuji nodded as a gesture. Indeed, Tsushima Jun is a young master, sighed a passing classmate. No wonder we look like people from two different worlds. It's quite similar to Senior Chishi. Chizi Zhengshilang, minister of Emperor Guang's basketball department, captain of Miracle Generation, and also a famous imperial censorate. Watching the black Bentley gradually fade away, they whispered and discussed. Ito Jun, wait. Wait for me. The boy held 2 backpacks and walked unsteadily. Hurry up, you trash. The refined boy made a fierce expression that didn't match his appearance, cursing. Ah lala, it's Ito again, too much, really annoying. The girl who saw it couldn't help but murmur roast. Shoo, he'll hear you, and it'll be miserable then, her friend immediately took her hand and advised. I just knelt down and begged Tsushima Jun to let him go, it's really useless. The girl's voice gradually faded away. Master Shuji, here we are. With a gentle call, Tsushima Shuji opened his eyes. Outside is a familiar apartment building. Thank you, he said. Master Shuji, the old house of the Tsushima family, always waiting for your arrival. As the young man was about to enter the apartment, the still elegant old butler bent down and said. I understand. Let me see where the dog food I bought last time is. Ah, I found it. Host, when you buy dog food, you don't want to. You can't sacrifice yourself alone, martyrdom, found it. Tsushima Shuji squatted at someone else's doorstep holding dog food. Through the fence, he shook the dog food in his hand towards Akita Inu, who was squatting quietly inside. Look what this is, super. Luxurious special dog food. Dang, woo. Woo. Akita Inu wagged its tail wildly. Hey, do you want to eat? The boy opened the packaging bag and took out a handful of dog food, shaking it in front of Akita dog. Then he stuffed it into his own mouth. The Akita dog, wagging its tail wildly, instantly stiffened and remained motionless, as if it had turned into a grayish-white stone statue. I won't give you any food, it's a bit rough. Not only will I not give it to you, but I will also eat it in front of you. The young man proudly stuffed another handful of dog food into his mouth, bulging his cheeks and muttering. That big brother. Is that the big brother we met at the amusement park last time? A girl's voice came from the side. It seems so. What is that big brother doing? He seems to be eating dog food. Hey. Really? Big brother can't afford to eat. It's so pitiful. Yuantai, Guangyan, Conan, let's treat big brother to dinner. Okay. Big brother, let's treat you to dinner. With joy, he stuffed the last handful of dog food into his mouth and looked at Akita, whose grey heart was as dead as ashes. Taizaizhi let out a happy hiccup. I saw a little girl and 3 little boys running over, saying they wanted to treat him to dinner. Hey. Can you treat me to dinner? Sure, I haven't tried to hold myself to death yet. The black-haired boy clapped his hands happily. Isn't this the little sister I met at the amusement park last time? We've met again. The boy stood up and patted his clothes. What was Big Brother doing just now? Guanyan asked. The young man held his chin in one hand and pondered. Big Brother, I'm teaching that stupid dog the meaning of being a dog. If you don't listen to your master's barking, there will be no dog food to eat, the young man explained solemnly. Causing a rainbow fart from 3 real elementary school students. As a former acquaintance of Kudo Shinichi, Conan fell into silence. Hello, it's clearly your bad taste. Surprisingly, I'm grabbing dog food from the dog. Who was that calm, rational and excellent Tsushima Shuji back then? And even the children were fooled. Well. The black-haired boy touched his pocket and pulled out a wallet. I haven't lost my wallet today. Big Brother, please treat you to dinner, he said in surprise as he looked at the still wallet. Okay. I want to have eel rice. Conan. Hee. This child looks a bit different from the other kids, said the black-haired boy in the Japanese food store, staring at the little boy in a blue suit, red bow, and glasses. Ha. How could Big Brother feel that way? Idagawa Conan rubbed his head and began the elementary school student's awkward smile. Conan is like that, Bume said on the side. Maybe Big Brother felt wrong, the black-haired boy said, holding his cheeks in both hands and learning from Conan's tone. When paying the bill, the other party took out a black card from their wallet, and the sharp-eyed Conan even saw another row of black cards. Conan. Hey, what's going on? Is this guy the male version of Suzuki Yukiko? So, goodbye, a few little classmates. Goodbye, Big Brother, host doesn't tell Jin, is Kudo Shinichi still alive? System bubbling. Who said that? Of course, I have to tell him that I am not an undercover agent or traitor in the organization, Tsushima Shuji hummed softly. But not now, there are some things that are not interesting to say too early, said the real wine of the organization, Kale. I found an interesting experiment. Can you keep him calm? Despite that, he still sent a text message to the boss who is far away abroad. Not long after, I received a reply. As long as you want. Humph, even if Qin Jiu finds out that I have hidden intelligence, he can't say anything. This was promised by the boss himself. Thinking of the possibility of the other party's suppressed expression, Tsushima Shuji smiled proudly. The next moment, his face changed. Nausea. I will never again. Don't try to eat and push myself to death. Nauseous. Host. Are you okay? The system is trembling with fear. That's too bad. The young man exuded black clouds all over his body, and his tone was harsh. Just one day after going to school, I took a leave of absence for the second Tianjin Island restoration. One request is a week's leave. In fact, I went to the hospital for gastric lavage on the first day. The next day, I wanted to sink into the bottom of the tank to commit suicide, but I twisted my waist. On the third day, I grabbed another patient's medicine in the hospital, ate a bottle at one go, and was sent to the hospital for gastric lavage again. On the fourth day, I made an appointment with the patient to burn a fire and smoke myself to death, but the patient gave up halfway and called the doctor to come. On the fifth day, it finally returned to normal. Qin Jiu came to his door and beat him up. Although I can play Jin, I'm too lazy to play. So he could only be beaten unilaterally. Qin Jiu didn't hit his head and fragile parts either. He almost broke all his limbs, so I had to honestly go to school. Those who hear it are heartbroken, while those who hear it cry. Speaking of Emperor Guang sighed. Since Tsushima Hideyoshi made his classmates kneel in front of him and apologize in front of the whole class, and learn to bark like a dog, almost everyone has kept a respectful distance from him. Unable to provoke, able to avoid. Even if the other party hasn't come for a week, many people feel quite relaxed. Of course, there are also people waiting for Tsushima Shuji to come to school, eagerly anticipating it. At noon on this day, Tsushima Shuji still enjoyed his leisure time on the rooftop. And in the abandoned warehouse on the other side, someone is struggling to the death. Moshi Moshi, Ito Jun. Someone answered the phone. Hey, Shanxia, where's the bread I asked you to buy? Hurry up and get over here. Yes, it's coming soon. It's Ito again. That guy is really arrogant. I said, you're just too used to him down the mountain. There's nothing I can do. After all, Ito Jun has been my friend from childhood to adulthood, said the young man with glasses shyly. Bang. Mr. Ito. Hey, what's going on? Call the police quickly. In the abandoned old warehouse, instruments were arranged in a disorderly manner. The boy who had called them recently was now tied to a pillar, as if in repentance. The dagger penetrated deeply into his chest. The setting sun's rays turned away from him, like a silent oil painting. The police quickly arrived and sealed off the scene. Have all the personnel related to the deceased arrived? There's one more. The transfer student is not here. Someone hesitated and raised their hand. Is there still one who's not here? Where has he gone? Should it be on the rooftop? The boy said in an uncertain tone. The others in the class also whispered and spread the message. Hey, shouldn't it really be Tsushima who killed Ito? Who knows, after all, Ito had offended him before, and today when he arrived at school, Ito was killed. It's so scary. Has that absent classmate ever had a dispute with the deceased? A police officer approached and asked. Yes. Previously, Ito destroyed Tsushima Jun's belongings, and Tsushima Jun even made him kneel down and apologize by learning to bark like a dog. Kneel down and learn to bark like a dog to apologize. The police officer frowned. This approach is also too bad. Yes, because Tsushima Jun's things were very expensive, Ito couldn't afford to pay, so he followed suit. Ah, it's the wealthy young master in the family, the police officer thought to himself. There seem to be quite a few people who decide to kill the other person due to their momentary displeasure. Go to the rooftop and bring the Lord of Tsushima. Officer Mu said so. So the previous second, Tsushima Shuji was leisurely enjoying his afternoon tea life on the rooftop. The next second, the door of the rooftop was broken in by the police, and the pistol was aimed at him. Don't move. There is a homicide case here that requires your cooperation in the investigation. Looking at the several police officers who were facing a formidable enemy. Tsushima Shuji. This is the legend that when a person sits on the rooftop, the pot comes from the sky. He just wants to quietly enjoy his afternoon tea time. Why is it related to the murder case? Tsushima repairs injustice, a huge injustice. Detective Tsushima Shuji is about to go live. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The Old Warehouse Incident at Diguang Middle School. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The Old Warehouse Incident at Diguang Middle School, the deceased Ito Naruya, male, 15 years old. Discovering the autumn people at the foot of the mountain, I even received a phone call from Ito Naruya before his death. The suspect, Tsushima Shuji, was alone on the rooftop at the time of the incident and there was no alibi. Speaking of this, the young man reporting the case couldn't help but look at Tsushima Shuji standing alone on the side. Too calm, as if completely indifferent to being suspected of being the murderer. He didn't care at all about the suspicious and fearful looks from his classmates around him. He just stood there with dark eyes, as if out of place with the people around him. Looking at him from the foot of the mountain, in fact, he was not the only one staring at the other person, and everyone else more or less focused their gaze on him. Then they heard him say, "It's really troublesome. Why aren't those detectives here? It's really a waste of time." The young kite's right eye was full of fatigue and impatience, with an irresistible temperament. "Don't waste your time, officer." The young man stood in place, his voice clear and impatient. The neurotic sensation between the eyebrows and eyes is becoming more pronounced. "The culprit is you, autumn man from the mountain," he said. "What are you talking about? Tsushima Jun Ito and I are friends who grew up together." Akira Yamashita retorted with a flushed face. "Hey! Are you actually friends? Aren't you a little brother and a punching bag?" The young man, wrapped in bandages, spoke in a raised tone, seeming surprised. The autumn man at the foot of the mountain clenched his fist. "This dagger is really accurate, it's like an archer who hits 100 shots with 100 hits, Tsushima Shuji said with confusion. The autumn people below the mountain trembled uncontrollably. However, at the time of the incident, Jun Yamashita was not at all. And he also received a call from Ito. Someone countered. "Isn't that right, isn't it? Can't phone calls be forged? Can't recording be done? Have you found Ito Naruya's phone?" Tsushima Shuji's expression was exaggerated, and his tone was also exaggerated. "This technique of providing an alibi specifically for oneself is too simple, isn't it?" he said lightly. "Do you have any evidence?" someone asked back. "There is no evidence, everything is nonsense," Akira Yamashita retorted. "The evidence is clearly in front of you," said Tsushima Shuji. For him, the murder motive behind this technique was simply too simple, but no one around him could see it. Are these police officers not doing anything without detectives? The things in this warehouse are just killing tools. Why didn't the killer take the dagger from the victim's chest? It's simple, because he couldn't do it, yeah, classmate of the autumn people at the foot of the mountain. He suddenly turned his head and stared at the uneasy autumn people next to him with his iris-colored right eye. Although you used the fitness equipment in the warehouse to make the mechanism, tied Ito Naruto to a fixed position in advance, and successfully used the mechanism to kill Ito Naruto with a dagger, you had no chance to take the dagger away in search of an alibi. As for the evidence, Ito Naruya's phone and the remote control for the mechanism you set up are still with you, right? Why don't you show everyone who your phone is? Tsushima Shuji said confidently. The autumn person under the mountain clenched his phone and remained silent. As for the motive for the murder, I also know it very well. You and Ito Naruto have indeed grown up together since childhood, but you are not friends. When Ito Naruto also hit you, he should have been quite forceful, said Tsushima Shuji, with a tone that seemed to have a sense of compassion. Upon closer inspection, it felt like he had thought too much. This sentence sounds like a mocking tone. That guy. Autumn man at the foot of the mountain dropped his phone on the ground. Tears splashed drop by drop onto the dusty floor of the warehouse. That guy, Seiya Ito, didn't even treat me like an adult. He suddenly looked up, even though he was crying, his expression remained fierce. Full of disgust. It's better for guys like him to die, he said. Clearly. I have repeatedly experimented thousands of times. I have personally checked, and this will be a perfect crime. Your only mistake was getting me involved and wanting me to bear the responsibility for you, said the boy in a white uniform. In my opinion, your mistake is too obvious. He seemed to stand in the light, but the light could not illuminate him. The autumn person at the foot of the mountain finally collapsed on the ground, wearing a silver bracelet. On the second day, the front page of the newspaper prominently displayed a photo of Tsushima Shuji. Emperor Guang's junior high school detective Tsushima Shuji. A young detective who can see through people's hearts. Incredibly beautiful young detective. Tsushima Shuji. Host, you seem to be on fire. The system is stumbling and stumbling. As a true alcoholic, I actually became a detective. Tsushima Shuji spoke in a deep tone. Lupin Jin, okay Kaor, take off the white school uniform, change into a black suit and coat, and head straight to Lupin. This time, Tsushima Hideyoshi did not commit suicide halfway. He arrived at Lupin safely and peacefully all the way. Gin and vodka remain unchanged shapes for thousands of years, as if there is only one set of clothes. Of course, Tsushima Shuji knew that there were at least 30 coats of the same style in the Kinju wardrobe. Change one outfit every day and won't wear the same outfit for a month. Moreover, although Chinjio is a killer, he has a cleanliness fetish and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Although Shark Man doesn't mind the other person's blood spraying everywhere, nor does he care about the blood sticking to himself. But any clothes he splashes with blood will be destroyed by him and burned directly into ashes. Vodka, under the authority of its elder brother, can only follow in the footsteps of Jin. This time, there was no need for the Jin to speak. The bartender voluntarily brought a glass of hot milk and placed it next to the Jin. Chin wine, do you think I look like a detective? He stared at the hot milk brought up by the bartender and asked seriously. Humph, what's wrong? You want to play detective games? Chinjo didn't deny it, just spoke up and asked. After all, the other person has a unique personality and he understands it. It's not impossible to suddenly want to play as a detective. Look, the black-haired boy took out a newspaper from his coat. Pointing to the position on the front page to indicate the wine. I am all ready, he said. Chin wine. His gaze swept across the newspaper. Staring at the phrase, a young detective who can see through people's hearts, he curled his lips and smiled. Of course, when he smiled, it was like a fierce beast encountering prey, with ill intentions and full of killing intent. Did you encounter an incident at school? The silver-haired man asked. Yeah, that killer still wants to frame me, the young man grumbled discontentedly. The evidence is so obvious, I want to pretend I can't even see it. It's just like a bold extra-large font in front of you, you can't even see it if you want to. The young man murmured roast. Someone said you want to become the next Kudo Shinichi, asked Jin. It's really unpleasant. Tsushima Hideyoshi is clearly a member of the organization and naturally a dark side. How could he possibly become the next detective ghost? Don't worry, playing detective games occasionally can be quite fun, making me the next Kudo Shinichi. Tsushima Shuji shuddered. I would rather be Moriarty than Sherlock Holmes, he thought. And the previous Kudo Shinichi was drugged by you, and now his life and death are unknown. I don't want to be treated as an experimental subject by you, he pursed his lips. If you really betray the organization, I will personally kill you, said the silver-haired man. Tsushima Shuji, who is considered an adopted son by the boss. Regardless of life or death, it can only belong to the organization. I think it's quite comfortable to be the young master of the organization, and he can still command you freely, the black-haired boy smiled. Chin wine. Get lost, troublesome little devil. I hope my passion lasts a little longer. As well as Yoko Okano and Yuzumi, they both fell from my butterfly. Their presence is not present throughout this article. End of this chapter. Chapter 8, Become the Ace of the Archery Department. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8, Become the Ace of the Archery Department. I don't seem to grow much anymore. Tsushima Shuji felt like an epiphany and lost in thought. If the timeline follows Conan, wow, how long does he have to study in the third year of junior high school? Tsushima Shuji fell into silence. What about his height of 186? He is currently 14 years old, standing 1.7 meters tall. Is it going to be 1.7 meters long? He thought for a moment and went back to his room to find a tape measure. I solemnly took off my shoes and measured my height. 14 years old, 175. It has to be said that his height is already considered very high among his peers. Well, he felt relieved when he thought that others wouldn't continue to grow taller. He lay on the sofa and turned on the TV. Coincidentally, it's a program featuring a popular female idol. Open your shining eyes on that quiet night. An incredible night fluttering down. Weak, innocent, and pitiful. Like a swan with pure white feathers. The name displayed on the introduction bar next to it is Chi Hai Li Su. At the age of 21, the most popular female idol of the new generation. Ah, that's really good, he said as he silently changed channels. Women only affect the taste of wine, he said expressionlessly. How high is the status of detectives in this world? Probably, any case can be reported in newspapers or television. And as a somewhat famous young detective, he will have his own support club in school. To the point where Tsushima Shuji just discovered it. He came to school today, surrounded by discussions about him. He hid and listened for a few words. No wonder it is. Nah, did you know that the transfer student from Class A in the third year, Tsushima Shuji Jun, is a detective? I heard he solved a case yesterday that even the police couldn't solve. Just took a casual glance and found the culprit and the murder tool. Ah, he's really handsome. Does he have a support club? It seems like we already have it. Hurry up, let's go fill out the application form. Tsushima Shuji. I don't know what to say, so just say thank you. Speaking of which, the thief kid is also very famous. He rubbed his chin and thought. So this group of people likes guys with outstanding independent abilities. They clenched their fists in the palm of their hand. Isn't this the host's area of expertise? The system couldn't help but speak up. If you have time, let's further improve the character of Detective Tsushima Hideyoshi and the character of Kokushu Taizai, Tsushima Hideyoshi thought. Returning to the classroom again, he keenly felt that the attitude towards him around him had changed again. There are emotions such as admiration, envy, admiration, and so on. Being too excellent is also a kind of trouble, he secretly complained to the system in his heart. Host, as long as you're happy, the Buddha system lies flat. Tsushima Jun. How did Tsushima Jun see the truth of the case? Can you give me an email address, Mr. Tsushima? Tsushima Shuji. Everyone is good, someone can help me. I can't bear it anymore. If he were cow liquor now, he would just take out a gun and shoot one person, and the others would naturally be scared away. But now he is no exception, a junior high school detective named Tsushima Shuji. His persona is that of a young master from a sickly family and a neurotic genius. Character design cannot collapse. Character design cannot collapse. Very good, he's calm again. Because another group of people who saved him from the sea of suffering appeared. Tsushima Jun hasn't joined the club yet, should we consider basketball? Oh no, forget it. Just as he was about to invite him into the basketball department, he remembered his left eye and hands wrapped in bandages, so he quickly stopped talking. Well. Basketball, a sport that can easily make people sweat profusely, doesn't feel very suitable for Tsushima Jun's art style, hahaha, he said awkwardly, touching his head. Yeah, I can't imagine the scene of Tsushima Jun playing basketball, the onlookers nodded in agreement. Basketball team members. I feel that Tsushima Jun is suitable for elegant interests such as tea art or flower arrangement, said a girl after thinking for a moment. Tsushima Shuji, who is suitable for refined interests, has a dead gaze. Actually, I am suitable for shark people. Believe it or not, they can shoot their heads at a distance of 800 meters. Anyway, I believe it. Oh, by the way, although our school's basketball department is the most famous, other departments such as tennis, volleyball, and arches are all good. The class monitor explained silently on the side. Why do we have to join a club? Let the children go. Me. Tsushima Shuji. It's not the next door bourbon. Working emperor. This is Etborn. The distillery is really busy. Chean liquor runs 3 times a day, and you actually want a capable real liquor to participate in club activities. Wait, isn't this a legitimate reason to skip class? Let's just forget about tennis and volleyball. The amount of exercise is too much, and Tsushima Shuji can't do it. He can't. How about joining the music department, for example, the melancholic piano Prince Tsushima Shuji, or the violin? Well, in fact, he can also do the archery department. Legend has it that even if I give you one eye, you can't beat me. He looked sickly with bandages all over, but turned out to be the ace in the arches. Wow, this contrast. The cozer who crazily adds people to oneself is ecstatic in his heart. May I ask where the application form for the archery department is? He pretended to be indifferent and spoke. Hey. Is Tsushima Jun going to join the archery department? A girl covered her mouth and exclaimed. Can you say that Tsushima Jun is very good at archery? Another girl hesitated and asked. After all, Tsushima Shuji appears to be too sickly. Not to mention the bandages that almost covered his entire body, but to mention the exposed parts, his skin was pale and devoid of blood, and he was too thin and weak, making his bones very obvious. No one can associate this kind of Tsushima cultivation with activities like archery. Faced with their questioning, the frail Tsushima Hideyoshi just nodded. I've had some exposure to archery before and I'm a bit interested in it, he said calmly. I used to organize that father to play with him and even went hunting together. His accuracy seems pretty good. So, welcome you to join our archery department in advance. The members of the archery department looked happy. If it's convenient, please come with me to the club activity classroom after school. Even if Tsushima Shuji's strength is not strong, the minister will not let him go. After all, with him around, the archery department can be considered to have a support team. You should know that only the basketball department has a support team for Emperor Guang. Whenever basketball team members play, the venue is always filled with members of the support club, waving flags and shouting for them. However, during the archery competition, it was unknown, cold and indifferent, with no one interested. As the saying goes, without comparison, there is no pain. Even if Tsushima Shuji doesn't even know how to hold a bow, he has to stay in the archery department. Be a mascot. As for Tsushima Shuji's archery level, Junsuke Yamada, a member of the archery department, looked at the slender figure of the opponent. Anyway, he doesn't believe that the other party has good archery skills. 10. 10 rings. Another 10 rings. Someone couldn't help but speak in surprise. Not long ago, Junsuke Yamada, who firmly believed that Tsushima Shuji could not have good archery skills, fell silent. Have you had contact with it before? Some interests. Is this the level of some interest? Junsuke Yamada. I suspect he's pretending, but I don't have any evidence. In front of the shooting range, the young man dressed in archery attire was tall and had a relaxed temperament. The slender and frail arms steadily pulled apart the bows and arrows. Each arrow deeply penetrates into the 10 rings. He lowered his arms and lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. Are you tired? After all, with his body, bows and arrows are also a considerable burden for him. Many people on the field coincidentally thought of it this way. However, in the next moment, the boy's lowered hand was raised again, his head raised, and his iris-colored right eye was fixed on the target. The bowstring was pulled full, and an arrow shot through the arrow standing in the center of the target. That's it, this is about becoming a god. Junsuke Yamada thought so. Sure enough, everyone's screams and voices of discussion echoed inside the venue. Okay. So powerful. Tsushima Jun. Please make sure to join our archery department. The minister has already bent down 9 or 10 degrees. Junsuke Yamada raised his head and looked at the bright lights on the top of the venue. I'm really stupid, really. The minister of the archery department almost abdicated and gave way to the position of minister, and appointed Tsushima Shuji as minister, but the other party refused. Helpless, the head of the archery department said that he was not worthy of being a minister, while reluctantly escorting him to the school gate. Other department members also accompanied the person to the school gate. It seems that the leader, Tsushima Shuji, is more like the minister of the archery department. With the words of Tsushima Jun, our Emperor Gongdao department and national competition will definitely have our place. At the school gate, the head of the Gongdao department held Tsushima Shuji's hand and said with sincerity. Tsushima Shuji. Is there still a national competition before? Why do I feel like my organization is really drunk and always doesn't do anything? Cow whine. The task of the organization. Isn't it just about having hands? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Youth Detective Team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Youth Detective Team Kyoto Museum of Art. Elementary school student Edogawa Conan and his classmates, as well as members of the future youth detective team, walked out of the art museum. Wow, look at all of this. That's great. Hey. Wait, look. Who is that? Yoshida Bume pointed in surprise at the tree next to the art museum. A figure resembling a hanged ghost was sticking out its tongue and swaying. It seems that life and death are already unknown. Quick, save someone. Edogawa Conan panicked. Hey, if this guy hangs up again, he's not dead yet, he's almost dead. 4 people hurriedly rescued the person. The moment a person who was originally unaware of life or death fell to the ground, they bounced around alive and kicking. It hurts so much. Hiss. Pain. The familiar young man, wrapped in a bandage, rubbed his neck. It's brother Tsushima, Bume said. It's the big brother who invited us to dinner last time. Guanyan and Yuantai also recognized the person. What was brother Tsushima doing just now? Bume asked curiously. I know this. It's performance art. Guanyan spoke confidently, and then received admiring gazes from the other 2 people. Tsushima Shuji stood up and patted his clothes. With his movements, a book fell out of his arms. A certain elementary school student curiously picked it up and glanced at it. The Complete Suicide Handbook Edogawa Conan. Hello, isn't it? Are you a suicide enthusiast like Taizai? Suddenly, he fell into contemplation again. Remembering the last time we met, Tsushima Shuji ate up a whole bag of dog food in front of Akita. When Bumei said he wanted to invite her to dinner, what did Tsushima Shuji say? I haven't tried the method of enduring death yet. It's probably something like this. Hey. I'm actually a suicide enthusiast. A detective with a primary school student's dead fish eye. Ah, it's you guys. Tsushima Shoji brushed off the dust on his coat as if there was no one around, and only then did he focus on a few elementary school students when his gaze was no longer dizzy. At the same time, I roast in my heart. Is it really cool for me to commit suicide in a way that conforms to human design? So many times. There is a buff when the host engages in the suicide behavior of COS Taizai. No matter how you commit suicide, you won't die, the system proudly said. Tsushima Hideyoshi. If I were a true Taizai, I might be infuriated by this buff. Really annoying. However, he is just an ordinary COS, and this buff is more conducive to his COS character behavior, which is very nice. Tsushima Shuji. So it's normal for me to commit suicide frequently, isn't it? Maybe it's really. It's a coincidence to have met you again, said Tsushima Shuji, reaching out to take Conan's book. Speaking of the art museum, there seems to be an event where a treasure map was found outside the museum. He was just thinking about it when he saw a piece of paper, floating and falling to Conan's feet. Tsushima Shuji. System, send a text message to Chinjio in my name. Ask him if he is interested in the 15,000 gold coins of Dinokabana. After all, it's also worth 600 million yen, so Chinjio shouldn't mind having more activity funds. Last time at the amusement park, it was only 100 million yuan. Tsushima Shoji thought to himself this way. On the other side, the elementary school students have happily established a youth detective team and are eagerly preparing to follow the treasure map to find the treasure. Speaking of this treasure trove location, Tsushima Shuji has some impressions. Take over the surveillance of this area, search for the location where you can see the fish-shaped neon lights from the reflection in the river at night, and send them to Chinjio together. Okay, host. The system works tirelessly. As for why he asked the system to send him a text message, he can't text Chinjio in front of a primary school student named Death God, can he? Oh, brother Tsushima, are you going to search for treasure with us? The cute voice of a child came in my ear. At the same time, Tsushima Hideyoshi felt his clothes torn by someone. This sound. He lowered his head and faced the innocent smile of his classmate Conan from Idagawa. Sure enough, it's you, Shinichi Kudo. He thought for a moment and simply reached out to pick up a fake elementary school student. Is Conan being coquettish to me? Sure, if Conan wishes. He smiled as if he were a kind-hearted big brother who takes care of children with understanding. Ah, yes. Idagawa Conan, who was caught off guard by someone, reflexively replied with the innocent laughter and voice of a primary school student. At the same time, both people's inner selves. Tsushima Shuji. Wow, that's disgusting. I actually said such disgusting things. Idagawa Conan. Nauseous, really, Conan, you're so old, boys can't be so spoiled. Bumei disagreed on the side. That's to say, Conan, you can't do this, Yuan Taiha and Guanyan agreed. Conan, who was stared at with disapproving eyes by 3 real elementary school students. Kudo Shinichi. I'm really sorry. I know now. I won't do it next time, Idagawa Conan said shyly, touching the back of his head. So, let's have our youth detective team lead brother Tsushima to find the treasure on the treasure map. Youth detective team, let's go. I'm looking forward to it, little detectives. Behind them, 3 figures glanced at each other and followed without hesitation. A Porsche 356A parked on the roadside. Chinjio opened his phone. Are you interested in the gold coins of Dinokabana? The screen displays this sentence. If you're interested, go to this place and get it. The address is XX floor, and the coins are hanging from the ceiling. Coor, big brother, is it news from Cow? Vodka asked foolishly on the side. Chin-jo didn't answer, casually lit a cigarette and took a deep breath. The sound of broadcasting came from outside the car. It is reported that the 15,000 maple leaf gold coins looted by the Italian bandit group have not been found yet, and the 3 groups of cabana are still hiding in our country. Vodka, drive, go get the organization's treasure. He sneered and said. Even if this treasure originally belonged to Cabana, when it was discovered by Chow, it became something of the organization. The black organization refuses to accept anyone, and no one wants to snatch anything from them. On the other side, the youth detective team fell into a predicament and encountered the first obstacle on the treasure hunt. Oro, what exactly is it? I know. The first O is a big O, R is riches R, and the last O is treasures O. Guangyan explained. Tsushima Shuji remained silent. After all, it takes time for gin and vodka to go and get coins. What if he lets Conan and the others know the answer in advance and accidentally collide with 2 bottles of wine? He can only pretend to be a wooden person. However, a certain elementary school student did not want to let him go. Oh, what does Brother Tsushima think? Oro means. Ah, this familiar feeling of being torn off clothes. Facing the face of a certain elementary school student, Tsushima Shuji smiled with a lingering and malicious smile. Did Conan request to help Big Brother? But as a detective, you should decrypt it yourself, right? He said with a look of consideration for the other party. Yes, Conan, we can't always rely on Brother Tsushima. We're a youth detective team, said the other elementary school students. But Brother Tsushima is also a detective, right? I've seen his detective newspaper before. Conan said as if feeling embarrassed. Hey! Is Brother Tsushima also a detective? The others all spoke in surprise. I can't tell at all. I feel like Brother Tsushima is not very reliable as a detective, the 3 of them whispered. Well, although the sound is so low that people around can hear it. Tsushima Shuji. There's nothing I can do, then I'll give you a little tip. The young man looked helpless as if he couldn't help them. When it comes to treasures, the easiest thing to think of is probably the maple leaf gold coins hidden by the Italian bandit group. He pointed to the nearby news. In Italian, oro means gold, he said. Well, it's just my random guess, and it's not necessarily the treasure of gold coins, he said maliciously, sticking out his tongue in the tone of a certain elementary school student. Idagawa Conan. No, I think you might be right. And other members of the youth detective team also appeared to be deeply convinced. Okay. It's a real treasure. Gold coins. Gold coins. A lot of eel rice. Tsushima Hideyoshi. You guys should be skeptical. Cow liquor strives to generate revenue. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. People cannot, at least should not. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. People cannot, at least should not. This symbol is an iron tower. What is this moon? 3 real elementary school students and 1 fake elementary school student engaged in a heated discussion about the treasure map. Tsushima Shuji stood on the side like a large ornament. Tsushima Hideyoshi. I am just a sentimental foodie. He followed them without saying a word. Then I heard someone's genius idea. This is a hat. This is underwear. Umbrellas can also allow people to contact sweaters. So it's a clothing store. 3 elementary school students suddenly realized. Tsushima Shuji. He watched helplessly as 3 real elementary school students and 1 fake elementary school student rushed towards the lingerie store. He could only stand at the door, watching them rummaging around in the store. The customers in the store looked at them in panic. Tsushima Shuji thought that flipping through the pile of clothes like this was already the limit. Until they pulled open the curtain of the fitting room, "You stinky little brats, get away from me." Then they were carried clothes and thrown out of the door. "Don't come again in the future. You are not welcome here." The 4 people who suffered from the iron fist of justice in several consecutive clothing stores suddenly fell into a state of lethargy. Tsushima Shuji. "I can't understand, but I was greatly shocked." He can understand 3 elementary school students doing this. "But why did you follow them in?" Kudo Shinichi. Tsushima Shuji looked inexplicably at the 4 people thrown at the door, especially at someone in a blue suit. Idagawa Conan. What's going on with this feeling of coldness all over? Hey. He looked around and happened to meet a kite-colored eye. "Ahahaha, has Brother Tsushima been waiting for us outside all this time?" he asked, pretending to be foolish. This guy's gaze seems uninteresting, but it has a strange killing power. After all, I'm not too embarrassed about where you kids can go," said the boy in his black suit and coat at the moment, his pale face showing a hint of blush. "Just kidding, if I were to go in, not only would you be thrown out now. Chinjio may have to go to the bureau to pick me up. When I thought of being twisted and sent to the police station by someone on the spot, and the police asked to contact my guardian, I called Chinjio's phone number. Hello, your child has had a negative impact due to peeping at women in a lingerie store. Could you please come to the police station?" Then Chinjio headed straight to the police station with a gun. I just don't know if at that time, Tsushima Shuji was the first to cool down, or if the police station was directly bombed into the sky. It's also possible that Chinjio doesn't even want to talk to him. Tsushima Shuji can only squat alone in a pitiful state. Just thinking about it, a song of iron window tears has already started singing involuntarily. Tsushima Shuji. Thank you. I'm still young and don't want to go to that place where I can eat and live for free, wasting social resources. People cannot, at least not like this. Idagawa Conan did not expect the other party to answer like this. Looking at the young man's face, which did not seem like a fake blush, the detective fell into silence. "Ah haha, yes, that's right, that makes sense." The awkward smile of elementary school student Conan appeared. "Damn it. What exactly do those symbols mean?" "Well, after running for so long, everyone must be tired. Why don't we find a place to have a good meal, my treat?" The boy in black waved his wallet. "Okay. Brother Tsushima, compete high." In the situation where the other 3 people were all eating and drinking recklessly, the serious and hard-working elementary school student who solved the puzzle was particularly eye-catching. He even wrote a whole idea on a piece of paper. Tsushima Shuji. Although I can't understand it, I greatly admire it. Undoubtedly the Sherlock Holmes of the Heisei era, a high school student named Detective Kudo Washing Machine. Looking at Conan buried in thought, Tsushima Hideyoshi was about to say something when his phone in his pocket vibrated slightly. Well done. Jin oh ho, as soon as I saw this news, I knew that gin and vodka had already received gold coins. Undoubtedly a model worker in the organization, KPI is the key, and efficiency is different. Cough. He cleared his throat and successfully caught the attention of several elementary school students before reaching out and tapping on the table with his fingers. Is it possible that the symbols drawn on the treasure map are indicative of the route? For example, what conspicuous signs? He spoke hesitantly. Signboard. The 4 elementary school students looked at each other with a clear understanding. Conan rushed straight onto the street. I got it. Found it. It's a sign in the same shape as the treasure map. Brother Tsushima is so amazing. The 3 elementary school students looked at Tsushima Shuji with admiration. Kudo Shinichi. Damn it, is this guy's reasoning so powerful? However, when it comes to reasoning, I won't lose to anyone. He thought confidently. Leading his elementary school students to run. Tsushima Shuji. Really don't think about what the moon means. And why are you running so fast when your legs are so short? It has been proven that when solving puzzles, all details must be taken into consideration. Otherwise, mistakes will occur. For example, now, a detective from a primary school student who has once again lost his clue. It was precisely because he ignored the moon on the blueprint that he ended up running for nothing at this moment. The sky was getting dark, and the neon signs on the roadside began to shine. Conan, that moon may not be referring to the moon sees the way, but to the night. Because if the treasure map really was a maple leaf gold coin robbed by an Italian bandit group, as an Italian, Cabana wouldn't use the moon to point to Japan's moonlit path, would he? The boy in black gasped slightly. Yeah. If you can only see the graphics at night. Idagawa Conan murmured to himself. I know. Everyone. Let's go back to where we started, he said. He ran out ahead again. The other 3 elementary school students quickly followed suit. Tsushima Shuji. Why are you elementary school students so physically strong? I'm getting older and tired. Brother Tsushima. Follow up quickly. Yes, it's here. Destroy it. If I'm not mistaken, the moon refers to night, and the shapes on the treasure map refer to the neon lights that can be seen at night. A primary school student laughed wildly and said proudly. That's really good, you finally untied it. Tsushima Shuji thought to himself, taking a breath of relief from having to run around aimlessly again. I had a leisurely time walking and admiring the scenery. Then everyone stopped once again. Strange. It should be right here. Fish-shaped neon lights. Conan looked around holding up the treasure map. Ah, the shimmering water reflects warm rainbow light. A voice interrupted his thinking. Isn't this what I've been searching for, the river of love in my dream? The young man in black opened his arms and sang with a hugging posture. Hello, isn't it? At this moment do you want to jump into the river and commit suicide in front of elementary school students? Kudo Shinichi's eyes were fixed. That. Brother Tsushima, I seem to have found the location of the treasure. He held up the treasure map in an attempt to stop the other party. Wait, Conan, I suddenly remembered that I have a very serious matter to do. You guys go find the treasure yourself, said the black-clad boy seriously. Is it a serious matter? Is it even more serious than treasure hunting? The elementary school student asked naively. That's right, I would feel regretful if I didn't find the treasure, but if I missed this, you, Brother Tsushima, and I would regret it to death. He lowered his eyebrows and eyes, looking melancholic. Hey! Brother Tsushima, hurry up and do it. Don't let yourself regret it, the elementary school students said empathetically. And dragged away Conan's classmate who was trying to stop him. Let's go, Conan. Don't cause any trouble for Brother Tsushima. That would be annoying. Conan's classmate who was dragged away without any resistance. There's no other choice but to report to the police first. I hope Tsushima Shuji can persist until the police officer comes. He quickened his pace and arrived at the guest floor. Through the French window, I can see the river outside and fish-shaped neon lights. If the street lamp is used as an eye, it's really in the shape of a fish. Hey! What's constantly moving in that river? Bumimi said strangely. Where? That's right there, Bume pointed to a place in the river. Idagawa Conan silently adjusted the magnification of his glasses and magnified the distant scene. Ah, the person splashing in the river. I just want to tell you to do something that you will regret if you don't do it, Brother Tsushima Shuji. Kudo Shinichi. Surprisingly, he really jumped into the river. Someone walked out of the darkness and picked up the gold coins that had fallen to the ground. I'm really bothering you, kids. Let go, that's the treasure we found. Yuan Tai approached and wanted to resist. The next second, he was beaten up by Pang, and 4 people were neatly tied up and sitting in rows. Kudo Shinichi. Damn it, it's a gang of Italian bandits. The other 3 people have already begun to imagine their own way of death. Crying out in fear of one's own imagination. Did you just give up like this? If we were partners, we could still escape. We are a youth detective team, aren't we? The boy in a blue suit has a calm appearance and a serious tone. And Kudo Shinichi looked at the direction of the river in the distance. The originally lively and cheerful person stopped moving, and the water surface returned to calm. I don't know why, he just feels that Tsushima Shuji can find out that there is a problem with them here. Perhaps it's confidence in the other person's reasoning ability. The sound of the police car startled 3 members of the gang searching for coins. What's going on? Who called the police? Right now. Run. Conan shouted loudly. Cough cough. The boy who was rescued from the water had a pale face and was dripping water all over his body. A dark puddle of water gathered under his feet. I'm not dead again. He lowered his tired eyes. Brother Tsushima. You're here. Strange, why is Brother Tsushima dripping all over? The rescued youth detective team ran to his side happily. Because something fell into the river and I wanted to pick it up, my foot slipped and I fell in too, the black-haired boy said lightly. Nah, let me tell you, Brother Tsushima, we just defeated 3 robbers. Bu Mei said with a proud expression. But what's hidden there is not a treasure of gold coins, but a few bags of stones, said Guanyan regretfully. Damn it, my eel rice. Yuan Taisheng said. Are you right, Conan? Bu Mei asked. Yes, what a pity, said Adagawa Conan with an agreement. However, Shinichi Kudo lowered his gaze. Not right, according to those 3 gangs, the treasure map is indeed real, and the maple leaf gold coins should be hidden there. Why did it turn into stone? Is there anyone who came here and took it before them? Conan, let's go home. Here, wait for me. He quickly turned around and chased after me. Pada, the door to the apartment has opened. After taking the gold coins, exchange them for stones and hang them again, Core. Jin, well, give them a little surprise, don't let others work in vain. Core, evil taste. Jin, well done. Gin vodka. Carefully move gold coins. Chin wine. Light a cigarette. Vodka. Work hard and resist stones. Chin wine. Exhale smoke. End of this chapter.